Good evening, friends. Today on Signs of Amusement, we are going to be premiering the review of the first and only blatantly propaganda motion picture, as produced by Walt Disney Productions, none other than 1943's classic Victory Through Air Power. Victory Through Air Power is a powerful animated film by the Walt Disney Company to demonstrate the concept of strategic bombing into practice that will eventually be adopted by the Allied powers in World War II.
All right, Louis, do you want to start us off on some release dates or facts or
Sure.
whatever you got?
So, as I said in the introduction, Victory Through Air Power obviously is a blatant animated propaganda film as produced by Walt Disney Productions and released by United Artists. This will be the only time during the entire history of the canon that either RKO or Walt Disney Productions does not release a film.
What does RKO stand for, by the way?
Oh, it stands for Radio Keith Orpheum. Awesome. And it's related to both RCA and British Pathé.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's what RKO stands for? Okay, cool. So, like I was saying, it's the only time that United Artists will release an entire motion picture under the Walt Disney banner, Good Times. The film is based on the book of the same name by Major Alexander P. I hope I'm going to pronounce it correctly, D. Seversky. And he's a Russian immigrant to the United States who became a famous early aviator and aircraft designer and aircraft manufacturer before the start of the Second World War.
Cool.
And he writes the book, Victory Through Air Power, to enlighten, I guess, the public and also the minds of politicians to the possibilities of using strategic bombing as a realistic concept in the future of warfare. And as we'll see in the trailer, and as we've all seen in the motion picture, this provides a very powerful imagery of proof of concept. It was released on July 17th, 1943, and it was also re-released in 1944. And it cost, the production cost was $788,000, and it took in $799,000.
Huh.
So barely broke even.
Wow.
And Walt Disney won't pay off his war debt until 1945, and that's $1.2 million that he had to take to keep the company going until the War Department started funding the production lines for his training films and for other propaganda shorts that he was also producing for the United States government and the Allied cause.
So when we say he had to pay that much, and this earned like 7 something, but he put in 7 something to get that. So is that
he only netted $11,000 off it?
Yeah. Is the profit that he has to put in, or is that whole amount like part of that? Do we know?
Well, again, so the total loan that he had to take was $1.2 million.
Okay, so it was a loan. Okay, I got it.
So, and like I said, it wasn't until 1945 with the release of Three Caballeros does he pay everything off, and he starts back at like a positive balance. I mean, he's in the red for most of the war. So, and again, it's the only reason they survive is because the U.S. government largesse more or less subsidizes Walt Disney because he's making training films for the War Department, for the Navy Department, and then also the animated propaganda shorts, which are being released in cinemas, not only in the United States but all the Allied nations, and of course being smuggled in by who's that guy Donovan and the OSS into the occupied Axis countries. So yeah, I mean, this is all like a big time coordinated effort to like the propaganda arm of the U.S. government, the Allies, to win the war. And we're going to see this in the film. The film is blatantly propaganda. You're going to see this. This is like huge.
Right, but if he didn't do this, he probably would have lost the company.
I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it would have been a really close run thing if he hadn't. Really close run. As opposed to the kind of semi-close run that he actually experiences.
Gotcha.
But I mean, Walt Disney was clearly inspired by D. Serviskey's book and wanted to show the proof of concept, which is why, believe it or not, and we're going to see this, that Walt Disney hated the concept known as limited animation, which is like rotoscoping and things like that. And because they wanted to, because Sir D. Serviskey releases Victory Through Our Power in 1942. In fact, precisely, come on, where are you?
I'm here.
No, I understand. So,
April.
it doesn't give us an actual date when the okay. So it says in April 1942 it was released. In May 1942, we started getting its reviews in. So we know that it was in April 1942 that the book was released. Walt Disney clearly read it and wanted to make it into a film. And literally less than 13 months later, it's a film. Like it's being released in the cinema. So that's like really fast.
Yeah.
For a motion picture to be
time to really make
an animated motion picture to be pushed through so fast. Granted, as we've seen in The Reluctant Dragon, it's a hybrid film. So there's a mixture of live action and animation, or the live action sequence and the animation sequence. And we're going to see that in its entirety. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, so let's see. Right. So like I was saying, so the last time it was released in cinemas was 1944. And then pretty much it went into the vault.
Yeah.
And it goes into the vault. It goes into the vault until like 2006.
Wow.
When it's released on that
that special thing.
the special DVD for the Disney War era, or the Warriors DVD series. So yeah, and I mean, and the reason it is put in the vault is because according to my notes, the sensitivity of Germany and Japan to the effects of strategic bombing.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So it was never officially released on like video or anything.
No. And again, it's one of the few Disney animated films in the canon that is not currently available on Disney Plus.
Right. And that's because it was never released, I guess.
Well, it was released in cinemas.
Yeah.
It never had home video.
Yeah.
Until 2006 with that very special edition DVD set.
Because the war is over.
Right, of course.
So there's no.
Yeah, there was no reason to.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, granted, as us Disney geeks, film buffs, I mean, they all dig this. They all dig the idea of this film, but like the general public, like your general Disney fan, could give a fig less. I mean, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, they're not in it. So what's the point?
Exactly.
And
it's not a character.
It's not a character-driven film.
No.
So I mean, they didn't release it on purpose because they didn't think they would make money off of it because nobody would care.
They didn't re-release it after the war.
Re-release it.
Yeah. Right.
Because they didn't think anybody. They thought everybody wanted to forget.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to keep
Makes
motoring
sense.
onto the happy Levittown, tracked home utopia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is going to culminate in 1955 with the creation of Disneyland.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pure speculation, obviously.
Right. No,
I'm not a qualified historian,
makes sense. Like, why spend money
it's
that
just based
really
on my
it's
research.
not going to make money back?
Right.
Or it didn't even make money the first time, really.
Right.
All right. Well, let's watch the trailer.
Okay.
Unless you have more.
No. Please, let's watch the trailer. It's going to help out.
2-minute trailer.
How long will the war last? Will our own cities and homes be bombed? Which is our number one target? Germany or Japan? What of the supply problem? Can we overcome the submarine menace? Can air power bomb Germany into submission? Can we build planes that can bomb Japan direct from continental America?
Yes.
Are we making full use of American air power? Should we have a separate and independent air force? Can air power bring us victory in the shortest possible time with the greatest saving in human life? Victory through air power. The thrilling graphic visualization of the book, frankly and boldly brought to the screen with no punches pulled. A Book of the Month Club special edition, condensed in Reader's Digest, syndicated in hundreds of leading newspapers throughout the world. Millions have read and discussed this book. No one can afford henceforth to believe he is thinking about the war if he has not read carefully and opened his mind fully to what Major Seversky has to say. The war hasn't produced as powerful a picture as Walt Disney's Victory Through Air Power, nor a more frightening document. A breathless story developed with imaginative sweep and power. A blast of gusty prophetic criticism, the kind of criticism heard all too seldom in a country at war. This is a powerful motion picture which everyone interested in victory must see. One of the most stupendous things ever put on the screen. Only the medium of Walt Disney could bring to the screen this vivid and dramatic forecast of events to come. Only in a democracy could this frank and critical motion picture be brought to the audience of this theater. Every American man, woman, and child must see Victory Through Air Power.
Yeah.
Waiting for.
Waiting? Absolutely.
So I do just start off the bat saying stuff. Even though this, like we said, was rushed pretty much to get it out, and animation is minimal. Some of the stuff they were drawing is pretty cool looking. Like they did a good job on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, artistically, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of the
really messed up.
Yeah.
This just reminds me of the older, like Woody Woodpecker type cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, this is like Looney Tunes. This is like Looney Tunes ratcheted up like 4 notches. You know what I mean? Like as far as its horrific scope of like violence. Because I mean, it's a violent film. I mean, you can't deny that.
Yeah.
Even if it is just theoretical violence, it's still violent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally calling for the destruction of 2 independent sovereign nations.
Right.
Yeah.
Albeit enemy
because
nations
of the time.
Still.
You know, back
Oh,
then.
because of the war.
Yeah.
Like victory at all costs, right?
Yep.
You know? I mean, largely this film is responsible why we get to talk to Shaz and Zach and Samantha today. Because had things turned out differently, who's to say what would have happened?
Well, I think she's being suppressed right now.
You're not letting her.
Internet's like, nope, cut her off.
Yeah.
Well, we still got Radio Free Zach, so that'll work.
Yeah.
Besides the animation, I can't say it was entertaining.
It is if you're a history buff.
Yeah, and I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or or you're an aviation enthusiast, obviously.
Yeah, if you're a big fan of like history, like World War II kind of stuff, and like aviation, yeah, I can see people really enjoying it because it's something that's not widely known. It's like a hidden gem, but it's not for me.
It's not for me either.
Yeah,
No,
Like I'm glad I watched it once, but I don't think I'm gonna watch it again.
no. I tried watching it again like a couple of weeks ago, and I got like half an hour in. I was like, I just can't.
Yeah,
make it all the way through. I just couldn't do it.
Well, I totally understand all that too. You know, I love history, so watching this was okay. But for me, as a Disney, this is a total different category than.
Yeah,
it's not a Disney thing for us.
No, it's not it's not Disney. It's just got Disney's name on it.
Well, I mean, like
it
is a big part of the company.
Yeah, I mean, of course it is, but
pretty much.
When you think of Disney, this isn't like the first thing you think of. Like I said, this is a hidden gem. Like this it's a one and done.
Gem.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms
it's just hidden.
Yeah.
In terms that it's hidden. Yes.
Yeah. It was a way to explain via cartoon of what's going on, because it's like back then, how are you going to explain this with special effects and stuff? There was no other way to do it.
You can't
other than cartoon,
right?
Or animation, I should say.
I will say the beginning parts when they start talking about planes and how like they're all like waving to each other, and then they
the history of flying. It was so cool. I love that.
Like that part I enjoyed, but like the rest of it, and then as they get into
war thing
strategies, I was not hanging in there.
No,
I mean I watched it, but
I know.
it just wasn't for me.
It was relevant for the time, but not. But
I understand,
time,
and if you're watching it at that time, it probably would have made more sense to watch and pay attention. And
yeah.
Well, Lewis, you look like you want to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
No. I agree with what everybody's saying. Like, I'm not going to say Walt Disney was wrong or right for making this film because I don't know Walt Disney. You know, I would have liked to, but I don't. So
I mean, obviously he was right in making it because obligations with the loan and all that. But
right. But at the same time, I mean, do you have to sell your soul to do that? You know what I mean? I don't know. Propaganda is like a really, really weird stalking horse that, you know, that it does come back to haunt you. Like, no matter what you're doing it on, I mean, propaganda is always it's a very poison pill, very bitter fruit. And we can see that here. I mean, it's definitely bitter. I mean, again, this is, like Steve said, like, this isn't anything that I would want to associate Disney with. I want to associate Disney with love and friendship, not with wholesale destruction of the enemy.
Yeah. Then again, there was no way back then to kind of explain it. So they're like, hey, concepts. Disney is popular right now. He's a great with animation films.
And we got him by the balls. So we're going to do what we want. Right.
And that was the only way to do it. Yeah. I think that was my thinking.
Probably. I would agree with that statement. You know?
But looking back on it now, it's such a 1940s thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, as we've all seen, as we've all witnessed, that clearly strategic bombing is a completely outdated and outmoded concept that has no true relevance in today's world.
The thing that got me was their way of thinking back then, of their strategic method back then, and what actually happened in real life.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah,
very, very different.
Because I mean, and that's a lot of there's a lot of criticism directed at both the book and the film for more or less making it. A couple of reviewers talk about it being a pig in a poke, and about how it's a very pushy message. And a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of
Just
people
because it's propaganda. That's why.
Like, what?
Yeah, it's propaganda.
Wait,
It's it's making assumptions.
And they had the most boring guy in the world explaining the important explanations.
Right.
Yeah, I forgot his name. The narrator.
Actual.
Will you see him in person?
Guy,
he's pointing to different things.
Yeah, it's like
Dave.
I know it's a serious subject, but Jesus, if he'd been much drier, he'd been in the Gobi Desert. Yeah. Like seriously.
Well, you're talking about actually like Servisky himself.
Yeah. So when he's holding the
concept, right?
When he's holding the pointer and saying, "Oh, if we go here or go here,"
right. Yeah. Conversely, when we see later in 1955's Man in Space and then 1957's Mars and Beyond, we get to see Dr. Werner von Braun explaining the rationale behind space exploration and getting to the moon. It's a lot more entertaining than this.
Well, yeah.
We're trying to sell you this concept so that you'll continue to fund the war machine.
The difference is, though, is like going to space was an entertaining time for like the late 50s, 60s. Going to war wasn't something people wanted to do,
But at the same time, I mean, at least with the United States and, to a smaller extent, Great Britain and the rest of the Allied powers after the war, there was a space race. I mean, it was either the Allies or the Warsaw Pact that were going to get there first. Right. And we saw that the Soviets did it first, right?
Yeah.
Because of various reasons, but we don't need to get into because this isn't really the scope of the program. But it's like all three programs are propaganda. But this is the most blatant of all that propaganda because it has a definite military purpose.
Yeah, and that's how I was
a definite political purpose.
Get to is this is not supposed to be entertaining.
No.
Like that guy's making jokes and stuff and trying to make it fun.
But it is supposed to be informative and it is supposed to encourage people to want to support the war effort. And I think, I don't know, I just think that they could have done it. I mean, in hindsight, totally, they could have done it in a different way. But then even to how things were back then, this just seems really quite in your face, down your throat, rather than being a lot more encouraging, maybe.
Yeah, it's forced. It's not necessarily. Yes. It's forced. It's not necessarily like, oh, we're going to help you figure out your mind. It's like you better do this or else.
This.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought it was. It was. It was almost. What I was going to say is this is almost in parallel to the German propaganda movies that they put out of a similar time.
Sure.
That's how forced it felt. I mean, I did World War II history as part of my, exams at school. So we watched a lot of propaganda from both sides, and this just smacks me of Hitler-style propaganda as opposed to the stuff that Pathé put out and the Brits put out and maybe the French put out at the same time. This is way more of the, like
Goebbels
you said,
variety.
We've got your balls like this, do it or else. Which is not like the British propaganda that we had that was all very, the Pathé guy going about doing, farming for the war effort and
man on the street interviews, that kind of thing.
Exactly, which is how I would expect
Walt Disney to do it.
Like this to be for the American market, which is why it shocked me after watching like the first 10-15 minutes of the History of Flight, which I thought was freaking amazing, and then it went sort of like smacked me straight in the face, like,
we're gonna do this.
You'll do this. Yes, you'll do this. I expected it to be a lot more Pathé new guy, oh look, here's this, us doing this, and if we do this, this will happen, But it was quite a bit not a shock.
But that's whoever that guy's thinking or whatever, and Disney is just presenting.
He's just they're just animating what he talked about.
Animating what he said. But
I wonder if it was Disney's idea though to have the History of Flight before that.
Oh, I'm
Probably.
pretty sure as like filler material.
Yeah.
To kind of get you up to speed to where aviation is in 1942. Absolutely.
But it was also their way of sort of trying to entertain you.
Levitate.
Right. The whole thing was like throwing bricks at
levity.
each other.
Yeah,
and
with
stuff,
levity.
right.
Yeah, not levitate, but
No, that's something completely different. It would be really cool if they did the history of flight from the end of that bit of history of flight up till today now. If they kind of tacked on.
Funny you mention that. So one of my favorite Wonderful World of Color episodes there is like the May 23rd, 1963 presentation of It's Tough to Be a Bird with Dr. Ludwig von Drake. And they reuse the footage from Victory Through Air Power. And then they tack onto it at the end of it the advent of jet propulsion, supersonic flight.
I think I remember that.
The missile age.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So and of course commercial jet airliners.
Right.
So they do add that in, and he kind of tacks it together in that television episode. So yes, cool. It did happen as you explained it, Chaz.
Yeah. I think I remember that now.
Where can you watch that? You can't.
You can watch part of it. You can watch part of it on YouTube, and then the whole cease and desist thing kicks on.
Right.
So, The Wonderful World Disney is not on Disney Plus?
No, I don't think so. No.
I would give my.
I would have done that.
It was on the Disney Channel.
Yes.
On cable.
Like Walt Disney. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like Walt Disney. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder why they wouldn't have that on there.
I wish they would, because I would watch
I'd watch it all.
What do you call it? The anniversaries. So for the 10th anniversary, the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't have the anniversary programs on.
It'd be so.
They have the Disney 10 Centennial on Disney Plus now, but they don't have the 20, 25, 30, and so on.
Yeah.
It's like we've seen.
Those are all on YouTube. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But we've seen so many different segments from those shows about like a park
on different YouTube channels, yeah,
right,
or even on Disney Plus where they
I mean just little things, but it would be nice to see the whole episode.
Exactly.
Oh, agreed, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Even if they did something like the Behind the Attraction, where they made like info about each of the sort of like major years of the park and included a section of that and something about how it got to that point over those 10 years.
That would be really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like, I know we're getting a little off topic, but like the ones behind the scenes of Pirates and all that, some of those clips did come from that show. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would imagine that most Disney people, I mean, I didn't even know this movie existed before we the discussion about it.
Before we did our little deep dive.
All I remember was the one with Donald Duck.
Oh, Der Fuhrer's face, or Donald gets drafted.
No, I think it was with the German.
Okay, so Der Fuhrer's face.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's the only one I remember a war type of a Disney movie.
Well, Donald gets drafted is also wartime.
Yeah. But I don't remember that one. I just remember the one with Hitler. Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen some of the history of flight somewhere else.
Well, I was about to say, the only reason I even knew about this film was because the DVD set, The Warriors, was gifted to me when I was in my 20s, and I got to see all of them. I got to see Victory Through Air Power, Der Fuhrer's Face, Donald Gets Drafted, and that really dark one. What the heck is it called? It's dark. It's about a little boy in the Hitler Jugend that dies on the Eastern Front. It's some dark animation.
Wow.
Like their propaganda machine was going full out, cranking away, trying to sell that message about arsenal democracy and we're going to save the world and it's up to us, and everything you'd hear in propaganda, broadcasting medium, whatever you want to call it. It's some really dark stuff, man. And I'm so glad that after the war, Walt Disney and the company go back to doing what they do best, and that's entertainment. Yeah,
What was
okay,
it?
yeah, that film I was talking about is called Education for Death: The Making of a Nazi.
Oh, nice.
That's
That
really
sounds-
dark.
Fantastic title.
Wow.
Love that.
I'm
That's
going to rush
great.
out and watch it right now.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I for one am very happy that after the war, Disney went back to the business of entertainment and never looked back. Like I'm so happy that happened.
Yeah.
We're done.
It wasn't a good look for him, but obviously it
No.
needed to be
So
done.
what we're saying that this was a necessary evil to keep the company afloat in the war years, and once it was done, it was done.
Yes.
Line draw.
It was done.
Move along.
Yeah.
Nothing
Never
to see.
went
Exactly.
back,
Pay your
yeah,
debt. You're good.
Move along.
Yeah.
Move along.
Nothing to see.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So, what would you rate this movie?
First 10 minutes.
Oh, I'd love to hear.
Well, hang
this.
on. Would kids like it? No.
No.
Is there any merch? No.
No.
Does it stand up to today's viewing? No.
No.
It was definitely relevant for its time. Well, kind of, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we give it a 0 out of 5?
You could.
The first 10 minutes of the history of flight was pretty good.
I just didn't like any of it. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not a fan of like history of that kind of nature
okay.
of World War II. And flight and all that kind of stuff. I find it boring. I really do. Like it's not my cup of tea
No, of course.
at all. Not my bag.
So, Zach gives it a 0.
I give it a big fat 0.
Oh, yeah. A nil.
Hang on. I haven't got the.
Yeah, you have to bring up your board.
Okay, let's bring up the thing.
If this gets more than a 3, like overall, I'm gonna be very upset.
Well, at least, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could,
Jay, go
for
ahead.
me, I have to rate it something because of what it did, and
Are
because
you
Right,
really
right.
giving it a big fat 0, Zach?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it 1.
Yeah.
And like I said, even after the history of the plane and when they started talking about using,
The tactical stuff.
yeah, like I said, when they were waving at each other, like,
Yeah.
like, oh, hi. And then
Yeah.
they started shooting, and then they broke the propellers. Like all that kind of was fun up until that point. And then they're like, oh, we figured out how to shoot through propellers, and
Right.
now we're going to kill everybody.
Off
Like,
that.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Chaz?
yeah,
Oh,
other
yeah.
than that,
1. So, Chaz.
You're going to give it a 1 as well.
No, I said Chaz. But you're going to give it a 1 as well?
Yeah, but only because of the first 10 minutes, because that
Yeah,
was really entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can see it's a necessary evil, but yeah.
For
Yeah,
back
I mean
then.
it was. Yeah, I mean it was necessary. I understand that, but it's just it just doesn't hold up well. Like, it's not something you can slap on. Oh yeah,
Everything changes.
we're watching tonight, lads. Victory through air power. Bang and stick it on. Like, you
But
know
it's
what I
not
mean? It's
even
not-
like the animation was groundbreaking or.
No, it wasn't.
No.
No.
Like I said, Lewis said it was rushed. So
Yeah, very
okay.
rushed.
Yeah, very rushed because they got it out there, didn't they? They needed
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
to keep the company afloat and to do what they were doing for the military at that time. So,
And I gave it a 1 as well.
Steve gave it a 1.
Lewis?
Lewis.
I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Yes. Nice. Okay.
This is my rationale. I agree with Shaz about the history of aviation is important,
Right.
and a story that needed to be told. I also agree with everybody here talking about the greater good, the necessary evil, all that. And also because of their ability to crank it out so fast, that's the 0.5 of the 1.5.
Oh, right.
Their
Yeah.
ability to literally turn it into an animation mill and crank
Yeah.
out a feature-length project that fast. I mean, it's like literally, we said 13 months. So
Yeah.
that's the reason. That's the rationale behind my 1.5. Other than that, yeah, it's a stinker of a film, no doubt.
yeah, I'm actually quite surprised they got it out that fast.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite quick to be fair. Yeah. Most
Usually,
definitely.
like a whole cartoon, like a one show cartoon would take longer than that these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
But it does,
and
it does show it was rushed, though, in the animation style.
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
can tell, you know, back then it's not like animation today. So back then it's, you know, cell per cell and cell and cell. So the whole process of everything that they'd done of mixing live action with animation and everything that they did. So, you know, getting it out quick was
It's commendable.
exactly. And that's a good 0.5 that you have for that.
Yeah, I'd say
Totally understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So its total is a massive 0.9 average.
0.9. 0.9 of 5.
Yes. So it nearly makes 1.
So Zach Zero really just drug it right to
Yeah.
Good job, Zach.
Victory.
Victory is alive.
Let's see. Peace.
Yeah. That's why he doesn't like it.
There's no happiness about it, man. It's do you think
No, there's no happiness? Agreed.
It was war. Yeah, you're right.
It's dark.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I mean, at least we can talk light about it now.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we get to take this all for granted now.
Yeah.
That this was just a matter of course, and that things turned out the way they did, and like I said, that Shaz and Zach are able to have this conversation with us, and you know, and everybody's happy, so to speak. You know.
Yeah.
Never mind all the present unpleasantness over there in Europe as we speak. Never mind all that part.
Far enough to the right at the moment. We're okay.
Yeah.
Might not be quite as exciting when I have to go to Moldova later this year, which is a bit too close to the right for my liking, but we'll
You
see.
think?
Huh?
You think?
Moldova's next to Ukraine, isn't it?
No, I know where Moldovia is. Thank you very much.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's next to Ukraine.
Oh, I know that now. All right. Any last thoughts?
No.
Yeah.
We're good.
Again, you got to try to watch this film. I mean, you know, it's just not, you just can't go out and pick it up at your local, you know, big box retailer. Or
You have to do a search
I mean,
for it.
you got to search for this Joker. So, unless you're a hardcore aviation enthusiast, history enthusiast, or just the ultimate Disney fan, there's no point in seeing this film.
And if you want to know where to watch this, you can DM Steve. We're not going to post the link.
No. It's from dodgywebsite.com.
.ca. Right.
That being said, if you do happen to watch it, you can leave a comment and let us know what your thoughts are on it.
See if it gets a bigger than a 0 from Zach.
Or if you've seen it and you think our point of view is completely whacked, please let us know in the comments. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. And if you didn't like something we said, we're just born in the wrong era. We didn't see this back then, so you know, it doesn't mean as much
era,
to us for that.
Yeah, my parents were born just after the war. So.
Yeah, and we're not disrespecting. We're not. Trying
No,
not at all.
We understand the greater good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Understand
the greater good
concept of the video and what it did. We just didn't care for it. That's all.
It scared me. It was so like
it's our opinions.
It's not our brand of Disney.
Yeah,
there it is.
Nope.
It's nobody's brand.
This is and that.
Yeah.
And
I like flying elephants and talking deer. That's what I like. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. If you're still watching, thank you for watching.
Congratulations.
Again, like, comment, subscribe, and if you happen to watch it, comment below. And I guess
we're back onto a lighter subject next time, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yeah. Oh man, I cannot wait.
Yeah. So next one will be 3 Caballeros.
Yeah, Jose Carioca, let's go.
Yeah.
Panchito.
That was a fun movie.
I loved it. It was
very.
So stay tuned for that review.
Yes, sir.
Which will be a lot more lighthearted than this one.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you on the next one. Okay, we're out.
See you real soon.
I can cut this one. We'll see if I do.
You won't.
Yeah.
You know what you should do? You should just put a big C and D peace symbol over Zach's face when he says it.
or you just do, when
Or just put some hair on him and like a little band, so he looks like a proper hippie, and just go
hippie.
When he goes, peace.
No, you do this, right? So you hide the camera, but he can still talk.
Oh, whoa. What's going on? Where have I gone? What's going on? What's happening? Listen.
That's that feature that where you can hide yourself, but you can still hear you, which is cool.
Oh, man. That is cool, actually, to be fair. Yeah, you need Fillmore and Sarge from Cars. I'm telling you, man, every third blink is slower.
That's you, that is.
Shut up, you hippie.
That is me. I am.
Fillmore.
I am
Fillmore. And
Fillmore.
he's Sarge. Yeah.
It's organic, man.
What does RKO stand for, by the way?
RKO stands for. Hold on a minute. I can get this for
Radio Kansas Organization. No, I don't know.
Kansas.
Kansas.
No, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay. It stands for.
Okay.
Real kick-ass organization.
It stands for Radio Keefe Orpheum.
The Randy Knockout. There you go.
No, it stands for Radio Keefe Orpheum. That's what RKO stands for. So awesome.
It was. It
You know
was.
what I mean? And-
It was
and we
almost.
see it-
Not
Hang
wanting
on
to-
a second.
Go on.
Can you refresh your browser, Shaz?
Oh yeah, you're behind.
You're lagging. I hate looking at her like do that.
Yeah. She's like a ventriloquist or speaking Japanese, one of the two.
Talk.
What?
There we go.
There we go.
Now you're not a ventriloquist.
Now you can continue if you remember what you're going to say.
It's because her mouth can't keep up with the voice. That's what it is.
No, we're talking about forced versus a convincing argument.
Yeah.
It's some really dark stuff, man. And I'm so glad that after the war, Walt Disney and the company go back to doing what they do best, and that's entertainment.
We got fleas, Zach.
What? No.
He's scratching.
I was taking my shoes off. My foot was itchy.
Nothing wrong with that.
You can end it now.